Hey guys, Jody. I'm working on my Dynam Grand Cruiser 310, and just had an interesting deal happen. I just took it out for its first taxi test, and I tried the flaps on it, and these flaps have always seemed like they've been binding and just acting really weird. Well, I took an X-Acto knife and cut out some material around there because that just didn't seem right. But the more I started looking at it, that flap rod, it's in a hell of a bind. So as I'm out taxi testing it and I'm doing the flaps, this flap completely came down and didn't do anything. It wouldn't go back up, wouldn't go down, whatever. So as I'm taking it apart, I'm looking at the angle that, I just showed you on the other side. And with everything, with the pin here, um, the screw pin facing the landing gear, like I said, that's all putting a hell of a bind on that. So what I did was I took that screw out and put it the other way, and now there isn't that bind there. I don't have the screws tightened down yet, but I mean that's moving a lot freer, and it's in a lot better alignment with the flap. So what I'm going to do on the end of the rod, I'm going to put a little bit of shoe goo or foam tack on there to keep that nut from coming loose, because you want this little brass collar thing to be able to move once you tighten this screw up. But that screw, I'm going to take a little bit of Loctite on a toothpick, just enough to get it in the threads, and that's it, because whatever you do, you don't want to get thread lock on that horn of that servo, because you will ruin that horn quicker than quick. So that's why I'm going to use just some like shoe goo or something, just on the threads in the nut, and then on this I'll put an actual blue Loctite on the threads, but like I said, just on a toothpick, just enough to get it in there and get them tightened up. But yeah, that's in a lot better alignment now, and it's not kinking, so the flaps should work a lot better. There's been a few things to this plane that I just haven't exactly liked so far. I don't know if it's coming off from COVID or Chinese New Year's or what, but the build of this thing just hasn't been the greatest so far. Just going over some things and making sure everything's to my liking. So anyway, but yeah, just a tip for you guys: if you get one of these, um, check that and make sure that you're not having that bind, because that all that is just creating a bind on your flap, and it's hard on the servo, it's hard on everything. So and like I said, mine failed, luckily, taxi testing out in the parking lot, because if it would have done that flying, and that flap would have got stuck down like it did, it wouldn't come back up, it would have probably spiraled the plane. So, but yeah, definitely something to check on. I don't really like these little ball link connector things anyway that Dynam uses, but so this side I still got to tear it apart and reverse it over to this side, just so everything's in a better alignment. But I was wondering why these flap servos were humming so much. Well, because they're under pressure, because that has a kink on it from that rod. So anyway, I think this is gonna be a really neat plane. I'm really the power seems pretty good. I put the props on it and taxied it, and the landing gear work. Obviously, I'm gonna retract it again, and everything like that. So things go right. I should have it in the air by the weekend. So thanks, and hopefully this helps you out if you guys are not only the Dynam, plane, but in the 310, the Grand Cruiser, but any of the Dynam planes that got the Fowler flaps like this. I love the Fowler flap setup, but check your rods and make sure that your rods are straight, because if your rods aren't straight, all that's doing is creating, unnecessary pressure on your servo and bind, and it'll bite you more than likely. So thanks guys, have a good night.